Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at the news and thought to yourself, how are we the smartest species on Earth and still act like raccoons fighting over a half eaten damn Hot Pocket? Because that's where we are right now. Politics has become the one place where adults go to behave like toddlers. Except toddlers at least have the decency to cry honestly. Politics today is like a reality TV show where everybody's screaming, nobody's listening, and somehow the dumbest people always get the most screen time. And the worst part, a lot of us don't even know what we believe anymore. We just know what we're supposed to hate. You don't even need opinions anymore. You just need a side, a jersey, and a tribe. And if you question your tribe, they treat you like you just committed a felony in broad daylight. And I know some of you watching this are already tensed up because politics is the only topic where people hear you say, hey, maybe we should calm down. And they respond with, oh, so you support the enemy.
Right.
What enemy? Karen, I'm talking about potholes in healthcare. I'm not talking about invading Poland. So today we're talking about the real issue, why politics is such a mess, how we got here, why it's destroying society, and more importantly, what the hell we can do to actually fix it. Because yes, it can be fixed, but not with memes or rage or clapbacks, not with TikTok activists who learned about foreign policy 3 hours ago in the Starbucks drive-through line.
You guys, I'm like really smart now.
We're going to break it down like adults. But we're going to have fun doing it because if we don't laugh, we're going to start screaming into the void like everyone else. Let's start here. People think politics has always been this toxic. And sure, politics has always been messy. Politics has always been a little corrupt. Politics has always attracted ego-driven weirdos who want power. That's not new, but what is new is the emotional insanity, the constant outrage, the inability to talk, the constant need to label people as evil. The way families are breaking apart over elections, it's a religious war. That's new because we used to have something called a shared reality, meaning even if we disagreed on a solution, we mostly agreed on what the facts were. Now, we don't even agree on what planet we're standing on. We're not debating policy anymore. We're debating whether gravity is real. One side says the economy is collapsing. The other side says the economy is thriving. Both of them have graphs. Both of them have experts. Both sides have TikTok influencers making video with intense music like they're revealing government secrets. And the average person is sitting there like, I just want to afford eggs. That's it. That's the dream now. Affordable breakfast. So what happened? How did politics go from boring grown-up stuff to psychological warfare with yard signs? Here's the first big reason politics is broken. Politics stopped being about governing and became about performing. Politicians used to have to convince you they could do the job. Now they have to convince you they can dunk on the other side. Politics is now basically the WWE. One guy comes in yelling, the crowd cheers. Another guy comes in yelling, the crowd boos. Then they throw chairs at each other and somehow healthcare still doesn't improve. And we're all sitting here like, wow, that was a great speech, still can't afford rent, but hey, at least he roasted someone. Because politics is no longer about results, it's about a vibe. It's about who's the hero, who's the villain, who's the victim, who's the oppressor, who's the survivor, and the media loves this because conflict sells. Social media loves this because outrage spreads. And politicians love this because it means they don't have to solve problems. They just have to keep you angry enough to keep you watching. It's like we've built a system where the goal is not progress. The goal is permanent emotional addiction.
An addiction that we might need to address.
Politics has become the national version of a toxic relationship. You don't even like it. It stresses you out, it ruins your sleep, but you keep checking your phone anyways. Let's talk about media. And I don't mean the media is evil. The business model is toxic. Because the media used to survive on subscriptions and reputation. Now it survives on clicks, and clicks require emotion, not truth, not nuance, not calm discussions. Emotion, meaning fear, anger, outrage, humiliation. And if you think I'm exaggerating, think about headlines. Nobody writes, new infrastructure proposal has pros and cons. No, they write, democracy is over unless you read this right now.
Oh my God!
Or, they're coming for your children. Or, this one bill will destroy America. Every day is the apocalypse.
The sky is falling! The sky is falling!
Every election is the most important election of our lifetime. And listen, maybe some elections are important, but if you're telling people every week that the world is ending, eventually they stop being informed citizens and they become paranoid survivalists emotionally.
I just keep hearing things.
People are now addicted to political panic. They scroll the news the same way people used to smoke cigarettes. And I'm not judging, I'm saying it's designed that way. Because when you're angry, you engage more. When you're scared, you share more. When you're outraged, you comment more. And the algorithm sees that and goes, yes, this human is in distress. Perfect. Here's more. It's like having a digital drug dealer living in your pocket. Now, let's talk about social media, because this is where politics really went off the rail. Social media did not create division, but it turbocharged it, because it rewards hot takes, emotional certainty, humiliation, moral grandstanding, outrage bait. It punishes nuance and calm thoughts, long explanations. I'm not sure. Let's look into it. The algorithm doesn't like maybe, it likes war. And this is why politics feels like it's everywhere, because now politics isn't something you check into once a week. It's something you are forced to absorb every time you open your damn phone. Even if you're just trying to watch a dog video doing backflips. Somebody in the comments, this is exactly what's wrong with Biden. And you're like, what? The dog is wearing a hat. And then the other side replies, Trump supporters would say that. And suddenly the dog is canceled. That's where we are. We have politicized everything. Food, movies, comedy, sports, pronouns, plastic straws, coffee, gas stoves, Disney, Target, Bud Light, books. At this point, breathing oxygen is probably controversial. Somebody's like, I heard liberals breathe oxygen, and then the other side is like, actually, conservatives breathe oxygen too. And then a third group says, stop forcing oxygen on me. And then the media runs a headline, Oxygen War Divides America. And somehow people click it. Here's the next reason politics is broken. Politics used to be something you believed. Now it's something you are. Your politics has become your identity. And once something becomes your identity, you can't question it, because questioning it feels like self-destruction. That's why people defend politicians like sports teams. That's why people excuse corruption if it's their guy. That's why people ignore hypocrisy, because they're not defending a policy, they're defending themselves. They've emotionally fused their ego to a political tribe. So when you criticize their side, they don't hear, maybe this policy isn't good. They hear, you are stupid, evil, and you should be exiled. So they react accordingly. That's why political conversations go nuclear instantly. Because nobody debates anymore. They're fighting for psychological survival. And the sad part is politicians know this. They exploit it. They don't want you to be informed. They want you to be loyal. Here's something nobody talks about enough. We are lonelier than ever. Less community, less religion, less neighborhood connections, less family, less trust. And when people lose real community, they find identity in something else. Politics has become the replacement for belonging. It gives people a cause, it gives them an enemy, a purpose, a group, a sense of moral superiority. Politics has become a substitute religion, and not every religion needs to be heroic. Meaning, if you don't agree, you're not just wrong, you're immoral. That's why we've entered this era of moral. People don't just disagree, they demonize, and demonizing feels good. It makes you feel righteous, it makes you feel clean, it makes you feel like the hero. But it destroys the country because you can't build a functioning society if you believe half the population is evil. That's not democracy, that's a cold civil war. Let me say this clearly. Most people are not thinking for themselves anymore. They think they are, but they're just repeating downloaded beliefs. And I'm not saying this as an insult. It's human nature. If you're stressed, busy, tired, working, raising kids, paying bills, you don't have time to research every issue. So you outsource your thinking to your favorite news outlet, your podcaster, influencers, your political tribe. The problem is these sources are not neutral. They're selling you something. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's ideology, influence, sometimes it's control. But either way, they profit from your outrage. They profit from your fear. They profit from keeping you emotionally dependent. So ask yourself, why would they ever want politics to get better? If politics gets calmer, they lose their audience, they lose their engagement, they lose their power. Their entire career is built on keeping you furious. Now, some people say politics is messy, but that's just democracy. No, it isn't democracy, it's dysfunction. Here's what this political insanity is doing to us. One, it makes real problem solving impossible because compromise is now treated like betrayal. Two, it destroys trust. Nobody believes anyone anymore, not institutions, not experts, not journalists, not neighbors. Three, it increases extremism because moderate voices get drowned out. Four, it makes people cynical, which is perfect for corrupt politicians. Five, it breaks families and friendships. People are cutting each other off. It's a cult exiting strategy. Six, it makes young people hopeless. They think that the future is doomed, and when people lose hope, they stop building, they stop caring, they stop trying. That's how societies decay. Let's zoom out historically because this didn't happen overnight. This was a slow rot. Step one, trust in institutions declined. Government scandals, corporate corruption, wars people didn't understand, economic crashes, broken promises. People start thinking, wait, are these people lying to us? And sometimes the answer was yes. So trust has cracked. Number two, news became profit-driven. 24-hour news cycles needed consistent drama. If nothing happened today, they had to invent panic. Step three, social media weaponized psychology. Now everybody is in a constant loop of outrage. Number four, politicians adapted. They learned they didn't have to govern, they just had to perform. And five, citizens became radicalized because their entire worldview was being fed through emotional manipulation. And now here we are, a country where people can't even agree on basic reality. Let's talk psychological for a second. Politics is messy because human beings are messy. And we all have mental shortcuts. Confirmation biased. We seek information that confirms what we already believe. Tribal instinct. We want to belong, so we adopt the tribe's beliefs. Fear response. When people are scared, they want certainty, and extremists offer certainty. Moral superiority addiction. People love feeling like the good guy. That's why politics becomes moral theater. Everyone is a hero of their own movie. Nobody wants to admit I might be wrong because that's emotionally painful. So instead, we double down, and that's why politics feels like a cage match now. Now, I'll be fair, there are some positives. Politics being loud means people care. People are engaged and people are passionate. That's not inherently bad. The problem is we turn passion into hatred and we turn engagement into addiction. Politics is supposed to be a tool for society. Instead, it's become a personality test. Let me hit you with the truth. Most Americans want the same basic things: safety, opportunity, affordable living, freedom, stability, dignity. But politicians and media frame it like, no, they want to destroy you. Because if they can convince you the other side is evil, you'll accept anything from your side, even corruption, incompetence, authoritism, hypocrisy, because fear overrides standards. That's how manipulation works. All right, enough diagnosis. Let's talk solutions, because I refuse to be one of those people who says, everything is terrible, good luck. No. We can fix this, but it requires work, and it requires adults acting like adults again. So, here's the fix. Not one fix, a whole system reset. Fix number one, stop rewarding outrage. This is the biggest one. Outrage is a drug, and the media is your dealer. So, we have to stop buying it. If you click rage bait, you are funding rage bait. If you share rage bait, you are advertising rage bait. If you comment on rage bait, you're boosting rage bait. Even if you comment, this is stupid, the algorithm doesn't care. It sees engagement and goes, yes, more of this. So step one is simple. Stop feeding the machine. Fix number two, stop getting your news from people who profit from your anger. If your favorite political commentator makes money by keeping you angry, they are not informing you, they are using you. And again, both sides do this. The left has their outrage merchants, the right has theirs. And they're basically running the same business model. They're just selling different flavored fear. One sells fear of oppression, the other sells fear of collapse. But it's still fear, and fear makes people obedient. Fix three, learn to disagree without hating. We need to bring back a lost art, respectful disagreement, because disagreement is normal, it's healthy, it's how democracy works. But we've turned disagreement into moral warfare. We need to normalize saying, I disagree with you, but I still think you're a human being. That's not weakness, that's called civilization. Fix four, stop making politics your personality. If your entire identity is your political beliefs, you are easier to manipulate because you'll defend your side no matter what. You'll ignore reality to protect your ego. You need friendships outside of politics. You need a life. And I mean this sincerely, because when politics is your only source of meaning, you become a pawn. Number five, demand results, not performance. Stop rewarding politicians for speeches. Stop rewarding politicians for owning the other side. Stop rewarding politicians for viral moments. Start asking, what did you actually accomplish? Not, what did you tweet or who did you roast? What did you do?
What would you say you do here?
If they can't answer, they're not a leader, they're an entertainer. Number six, support local politics. Here's the dirty secret. National politics is loud, but local politics affects your daily life. The school board, city council, zoning, housing, local policing, infrastructure, taxes. Nobody pays attention to local politics because it's not sexy. There's no dramatic soundtracks. There's no viral dunking. It's just boring adults arguing about budgets, which is what politics should be. So if you want real change, start local. That's where the power is. Fix number 7, bring back long form thinking. We have to stop making major political decisions based on 15-second clips. We need long form discussions. We need debates that aren't designed like boxing matches. We need people willing to say, I don't know enough yet. That sentence alone would heal society, but we punish it. We call it weakness. We call it not taking any stance. No, it's intelligent. Fix number 8, stop demonizing people. This is crucial. The second you believe your neighbor is evil, you stop caring about their rights. And when you stop caring about rights, democracy dies. That's how authoritarianism begins. Not with tanks, with hatred, with dehumanization. We need to stop using words like Nazi, communist, fascist, terrorist as casual labels for people who disagree with us. Because once you label someone as a monster, everything becomes justified. And that's dangerous. Fix number 9, create culture again. Here's a big one people ignore. We need shared culture again. We used to have things we all enjoyed together. Movies, community events, sports. Now everything is segmented and every community becomes an echo chamber. We need spaces where people interact as humans again. Because you cannot hate someone personally as easy. It's hard to demonize a person you've just had dinner with. Let's make it practical. Here's what fixed politics looks like in everyday life. When you see rage bait, don't share it, don't comment, don't argue, close it. When you hear someone disagree, ask, why do you think that? Instead of, how could you think that? When you talk politics with friends, don't try to win, try to understand. When you vote, don't vote based on fear, vote based on policy. When you pick your news, pick sources that admit uncertainty. Pick sources that show nuance. When you feel yourself getting addicted to outrage, take a break because your nervous system matters. Now, some of you are thinking, okay, but people are stupid. This won't work. And yes, some people will never change. Some people are addicted to anger. Some people love chaos. And they want conflict because it makes them feel alive. But here's the truth. Society doesn't need everyone to be sane. It just needs enough sane people to stop rewarding insanity. That's it. Because right now, the insane minority controls the narrative. Because the quiet majority is exhausted and disengaged. If normal people re-engaged, the circus collapses. Politics should be boring. Politics should be budgets, infrastructure, healthcare logistics, education system, trade-offs, compromises. Politics should not be emotional warfare. Politics should not be an identity. Politics should not be religion. Politics should be a tool, a wrench, not a sword. The truth is, fixing politics is less about politicians and more about us, because politicians respond to incentives. Media responds to incentives. Social media responds to incentives. If we reward outrage, we get outrage. If we reward division, we get division. If we reward performance, we get clowns. But if we reward competence, we get leaders. So the fix is uncomfortable. It requires self-awareness, humility. It requires admitting we've been manipulated sometimes. And that's hard because nobody wants to admit they got played. But we did, all of us, at this point. Let me leave you with this. The reason politics is such a mess is because the system discovered something powerful. Anger is profitable, fear is profitable, division is profitable. But here's the good news. It only works if we keep buying it. We don't have to. We can opt out. We can stop letting strangers on the internet decide who we hate. We can stop treating politics like sports. We can stop acting like the world ends every election cycle. We can start rebuilding community, rebuilding trust, rebuilding sanity. Because the truth is, most Americans are not enemies. They're just exhausted, stressed, and just trying to survive. And if we remember that, we can fix this. Not overnight, not perfectly, but steadily. One conversation at a time. One vote at a time. One refusal to engage in rage bait at a time. Because if we don't fix politics, politics will fix us. And not in a good way. More like, congrats, you're now living in a country where everyone screams and nothing works. And honestly, that sounds like hell. Let's fix it. Because I'd really like to live in a country where adults act like adults again. And the biggest controversy in your life is, I want hamburgers, I want pizza for dinner. Like God intended. All right, I want to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest reason politics is broken right now? And more importantly, what do you think is the most realistic fix? Drop it in the comments. And if you're one of the rare people who can disagree without acting like a rabid raccoon, I appreciate you. Hit subscribe and stick around because I'm going to keep saying the stuff that everyone thinks but nobody wants to say out loud. And trust me, we are just getting started.